This is passage 4, the research passage. In our DRC approach, R stands for research and reads. We're going to read not carefully, but looking at the differences between the studies and the variables that are present. Okay, so we're going to quickly just go through this. It looks like we have in 1993, water samples were collected, and then an underwater eruption occurred in 1996. So it has a picture. So I guess there's the eruption, this little spot right here. Study 1, from the center of the lake, so center of the lake, water samples were collected at different depths. We see depths, and it looks like they're doing pH, Na3, and SO2. Study 2 is in 1996, where water samples were repeated. And again, depth, pH, NaH, and SO4. Look at those 2 places. Oh, center of lake and the flooded crater. So they're doing the center of the lake and the crater in study 2. And in study 1, it's only the center of the lake. And that's it. Go to the questions. Approach the questions is read and reread. You read through it quickly and then do a reread, breaking it down as you go. We'll do the reread together. Number 20, in study 2, on average, at which location was the Na content greater, and at which location was the SO4 content greater? So let's start with the Na content, and so we're looking at the Na content, and I didn't include the pH table here because we didn't need it. And so is it the center of the lake or the flooded crater? And we see that the center of the lake is a greater average content, so we can eliminate choices H and J. And then the SO4 content, we see that the center of the lake is also the greater, so your answer has to be F. Number 21, there's 2 studies taken together, so looking at both studies, would be most useful in determining whether the eruption affected what. So we have temperature, we have chemistry, frequency or severity, and what's being tested in both are chemistry levels. So your answer is B. Number 22, approximately how many months after the eruption were water samples collected from the lake? So it tells us in the reading, on January 2nd, 1996, a 2-day-long underwater eruption occurred, and in April, water samples were collected. So we have January to February, February to March, March to April, so that's 3 months, H. Number 23, assume electric conductivity is determined by SO2 and they are directly related. So SO2 equals electric conductivity. So we're looking at study 2, which is the 1996 study. We want to know at what depth in the center of the lake, so center of the lake and the flooded crater, would electric conductivity have most likely been greatest, right? So we're going to go the greatest because electric conductivity is the same as SO4, so we're just using that chart. So let's look at center of the lake first. So center of the lake is the dashed line, and we see the depth that clearly stands out at 40. So your answer has to be A or B. We can eliminate C or D. And so now let's look at the flooded crater. So the flooded crater is the solid line, and the solid line is clearly greatest at 40 as well. And so 40, so your answer has to be B. Number 24, the types of fish that were present in 1993 could have survived even if the pH had been 1.5 less than what it was on that date. What percent of fish that were present in the lake were most likely still present in 1996? So we're just looking at pH, and we see that in figure 1, which is going to be 1993, the pH is around 7, and then it moves down to about 3, which that is greater than 1.5 at every single depth. So none of the fish would have survived, 0%. Number 25, on which date, April 1993 or April 96, was the water collected at the center of the lake more acidic? So pH is where we determine acidity, right? So we're looking at the center of the lake, so that's the dotted line in figure 2. And a little bit of knowledge here. So acidicness is below 7, right? The lower the pH, the more acidic. So it's going to be lower clearly in 1996. So we can eliminate A and B, And we can say in 1996, because it had a lower pH at every depth, so D. In the studies, each set of water samples from a particular depth consisted of 5 individual samples. How many individual water samples were collected in 1993? So each depth is 5, so we're just going to count them. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and our answer is J. Here's the reporting categories. You can look and see if you're missing a particular type of question in a particular recording category. So reach out if you have any questions at all. We'll end on our silly joke. My Bluetooth speaker wasn't working, so I threw it in the lake. And finally, it's sinking. Think about it. Have a good day.